Hello everyone, this is David, and tonight's movie that we watched is the 2001 film Raptor. Now, I'm going to put the term film in quotations, because while this is actually a film, it is a very special circumstance here, because this movie is effectively a Carnosaur 1 through 3 compilation best of DVD, for lack of a better term. So, the entirety of the scenes that involve the Carnosaurs are poorly edited together footage from the previous 3 movies, regardless of how much sense that doesn't make. And I will call these scenes out as they occur in the film, but just so you know, that's what we're dealing with. Oh yeah, it's that bad. Now, this harkens back to when I first saw this film for the first time and did not know what was going on. I was over at one of my friends' houses, and we were all sitting on the couch watching it. And I was literally calling everything that would happen, no matter how absurd or insane it would be, I would be calling it. Because, again, I had seen all 3 previous Carnosaur movies, and this movie, unknowing to me at the time, but now known, is just hacked together footage. So, Let's dig into this right now. I don't think this is going to be too long because the plot to this movie is bare bones at best, and at worst it's like maybe a tibula. But anyway, so let's get into this and we'll see what happens. So this movie doesn't fuck around by waiting or anything. So it starts off with the Jeep driving through the desert. It stops abruptly before falling off, just before a cliff. And a guy gets out to piss. There's 2 other people in the Jeep. They start making out. Now, this might sound a little familiar because it is directly ripped from Carnosaur 1, the scene with the teens in the Jeep. And like that scene, exactly the same thing happens. Carnosaur cuts the guy open, fucks out the way, jumps in the Jeep, covers some people in some chocolate blood, rips them apart, eats their innards, and there you have it. That is the opening scene / opening kill. Congratulations, good for everything around. Cut to the next day, or we presume the next day, but a time later, and the police officer, Eric Roberts, is investigating these deaths, mysterious deaths. Obviously some sort of animal ripped them apart. At least it's assumed. Could be a serial killer that's really depraved, I suppose. But they're looking into it. And they have a very important assistant in the form of the animal control officer, played by Melissa Bracell. From my understanding, she's done a few other low-budget movies. I believe Curse of the Komodo and a couple other ones. Yeah, she's an interesting... Well, not really that interesting, but she's in a thing. So, she's there because she has large breasts. We're just going to put that out there. That's the whole reason she's in this film. And the real sad thing is, like, you don't even get that. Like, they're just there. Like, you don't really see them, but they're attached to her body. That's the only reason I can foresee her being in this film. She's not a very good actress, but, you know, whatever. It's fine. This movie isn't exactly high quality either, so I can't really blame her too much. So they're investigating. They hear a monster roar. They assume it's something really weird. So then it cuts back to this place. Shows the old Eunice. They're at it again, except this time Dr. Hyde, yeah, creative name there, is whipping up some quick grow dinosaurs apparently, and for some reason they're still making chickens. So they cut to the scene of the chickens being taken out of the factory, a la the first one, and there's apparently a dinosaur in that. And when the guy pulls over to investigate why the chickens are dying, he gets killed by the Carnosaur again. Police officer comes to investigate and gets killed by the Carnosaur, using cutscenes from the hippie scene from Carnosaur 1, interestingly enough. So now there's a deputy missing. There's the guy in the truck missing, and there's the 3 dead kids that were in the truck. So now the film's progressing pretty quickly. The Carnosaur's going nuts. Eric Roberts is looking into it. He's trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. He doesn't know. And he's looking into this company, Eunice, because he's like, okay, the truck came from Eunice. and maybe they didn't know what's going on. So they go investigate it. They hear some sounds. They get the runaround. Dr. Hyde doesn't want to talk to them. They're like, oh, all right, we'll come back tomorrow. Eric Roberts stakes the place out. I'm just going to call her by her character's name, Barbara, instead of Melissa Bressel. But anyway, so she goes back to her house where she undresses, and then you hear noises in her house, and she goes around in her underwear, and it turns out you get a jump scare, and it turns out it's a dog. So she was scared of sounds in her house, of an animal that apparently she forgot she had because it was convenient to the plot. Alright, whatever. Like, I can't gather the strength to care because apparently this movie just doesn't. So, okay, so then there's a ruckus going on. And, oh, I forgot to mention this poignant little thing. Up until this point, all the kills that have happened to this point are just blatant cutscenes. Okay, fair enough. But coming up next, and for the rest of the movie for the most part, is going to be the greatest and arguably most hilarious part. And that is the personal kills, if you will. So, as opposed to having original footage or whatnot, or just whole hog stealing scenes, well, they do whole hog steal scenes. So, instead of getting, I guess, the actors, or maybe they did get the actors, I'm not entirely certain. I haven't seen a full write-up of the cast back-to-back with the other movies, but whenever someone is going to die, you can tell immediately if you've seen the previous Dinosaur movies, because they are dressed exactly as that person would in that respective movie for that particular kill. And what does that mean? What am I talking about? So, we're going to get into that right now. There's a sheriff's deputy, who's a black guy, and he's hearing this ruckus. He thinks it's a serial killer that got him loose. So he puts on a cowboy hat and he goes out to fight him. Turns out, it's the blatant scene where the sheriff goes out to fight the Deinonychus from Carnosaur 1. Okay. Why? Well, the reason why is because they didn't care. They did not care that they ripped themselves off. And then I wouldn't even really call them ripping themselves off. They're ripping us off. They're ripping every last person who's seen this movie and actually paid any sort of money for it off. And they don't care. They don't give a single fuck. So, yeah, that's a thing. This will continue for the rest of the movie, by the way. It's not stopping here. No. This is a pain train. And the only way you're getting off of it is with a bullet. Oh, man. So, this is going to be painful. So now that guy's dead. Great. But here's the thing. He shot the raptor, and the raptor killed him, and it was literally like in his chest. So he kills the raptor, and then they find his body, and they do an autopsy on it, and they're like, oh, I wonder what killed him. And I was thinking, well, what about the fucking raptor that he was dead next to? They just didn't even think, maybe this is related to the case, or maybe the raptor was just wounded and it ran off. They never really explain either way, but if it was... So here's the conundrum, though. So first of all, there's two raptors, because there's the opening kill raptor, which killed the kids in the truck, and then there's the escaping from the poultry truck raptor, because the poultry truck raptor did not sneak back in. So now there's two raptors on the loose, and they are not dealt with in this movie at all. So anyway, Eric Roberts is busting a nut. He's like, okay, so here's what's going to go down. We're going to this Eunice place. Oh, and at some point he calls the government, and the government is like, no, we don't got anything on them. And they call this general, and he calls Mr. Hyde, or Dr. Hyde, I suppose, and is like, okay, so buddy, you starting that Jurassic Storm project back up that we canceled all those years ago? He's like, nah, man, that ain't me. I am doing that. He's like, you sure you're not making any dinosaurs that are killing everybody? He's like, nope, no dinosaurs here. We're doing a human genome project, don't you know? And he's like, okay, sorry to accuse you of making dinosaurs when you most clearly are. So, apparently what happened is, back in the past, Dr. Hyde apparently created all the dinosaurs back for a project Jurassic Storm, back before. I'm guessing Jurassic Park. Yeah, that was a good fucking movie. Even Jurassic Park 3 is better than this shit. So I'm guessing before I did it again. I've got it stuck in my head now. It's not coming out. Carnosaur 2. They never explain where the eggs come from, just that someone was fucking around with genetics. So I'm guessing that this is a different quantum reality from the Carnosaur 1 universe, and the Carnosaur 2 universe is a fragment timeline. As we all know, bringing dinosaurs back to life causes fragmentation of the space-time continuum. Not many people are aware of that, but that is what happens almost 100% of the time. Watch Primeval if you're curious about that. Anyway, so I mean the TV series, not the movie, about Gustav. Also a good movie, but I'm getting way off track now. So anyway, so the space-time continuum is completely fragmented at this point, and nothing that explains this movie now, because things aren't happening in order, things don't make sense, time and space are shattered, spatial relations have no meaning, we can have length without width, height without distance, that kind of stuff, up without down, the application of yin yang dualism no longer needs apply because Raptor exists. Great, thanks buddy. Anyway, now that tirade's out of the way. So apparently, Hyde, I'm guessing, created all of the dinosaurs from Carnosaur 2 to now. And I'm guessing, basing that all on Dr. Tiptree's work way back in the day, but that may not be true. I might be just talking out my ass, because they don't fucking explain it in this movie. They just allude to things that you assume are related, but it's like pulling a George Lucas, if you will. It's like getting to the end and tying it all in by saying that was your plan the entire time, and it not making any sense, and when you think about it, you go cross-eyed. Anyway, so, alright. So Eric Roberts calls up the electric company and is like, alright, so I forgot to mention an attack. So in the only new footage, and it's ironic that I fucking forget the only new part that happens, even though it's not new, but we'll get into that right now. So Eric Roberts' character has a daughter in this movie, and she's hanging out with her boyfriend, and they're like trying to have sex, and there's a monster running around. It's the dinosaur. Oh, never mind. They did tie up one of the dinosaurs, because okay, never mind. I'm getting myself so confused. This movie confuses me. So the dinosaur the raptor attacks and kills the boyfriend, and she's driving away, and the raptor keeps attacking. And what ends up happening is they drive over this bridge, and the raptor causes the car to careen out of control and off the bridge. She jumps out in time. She's hurt, but okay. She's hurt, but like traumatized, but like physically she's not dying or anything. And the truck falls off the edge and explodes. And while this is original Carnosaur footage, the truck falling off a bridge and exploding scene is actually ripped directly from Humanoids from the Deep, the 1980 Corman movie. And while I'm at it, they ripped the entire soundtrack from that movie as well. So this is like the biggest bastardization of a fucked together movie I've ever seen. I'm sure there are worse out there in terms of just like, we literally went into our like Adobe editor and just pasted everything together, and we have a movie now, and we had Eric Roberts, and he's doing some stuff, and that's it. Okay, so that explains where that raptor went. So I'm kind of covering up for myself now because I had forgotten where this is going. So it still doesn't explain where the other raptor went. Well, whatever. It doesn't matter at this point. I guess it's just free range now. We're hanging out with the family. So he calls the electric company, and he's like, okay, I'm going over to this Eunice place, and if I'm looking into them for some bunch of murders. I don't know why I'm looking into them for a bunch of murders, but I'm assuming since animal attacks are happening around this place, it's clearly because of dinosaur. Well, they don't know it's dinosaurs, although they should at this point. And I'm assuming they're going to try to kill me. So, because I read the script. I'm Eric Roberts. So can you turn off the power in an hour if you don't hear from me? And the lady just is like, yeah, no problem. I can do that for you. Just, make sure I get something in writing. So I'm like, so the cops can just call and on a hunch, shut down anyone's power. Okay, that's a little weird, especially to like a big building, a facility. Who knows what is in there? You know, there could be a lot of sensitive equipment, but no, you can just shut it down. And that's barring, oh, maybe they have an independent power source. So, also, one of Hyde's henchmen is the analog for the guy who walks down the hallway to pipes, finds the laser rave going on, and is eaten by the Tyrannosaurus. Because that's exactly what happens. The Tyrannosaurus is, at least there's more reason for there being a Rancor Pit style laser maze thing going on than in Carnosaur, but even so, like, you get the understanding that all these people are at least on some level in on this kind of crazy, let's make dinosaur weapons. They don't really go into it too deeply, but okay, at least that makes some sense. That's like the stated objective. So they have that. He gets killed that way, as you'd believe. And Sir Eric Roberts goes over to this place. He takes Barbara with him. And Hyde's taking him on tour. And he's like, I have a search warrant. And he's like, you don't need that. I'll just show you everything. And he's showing him around. And then he's like, yeah, I heard you were doing some crazy like behavioral research and shit because you're the leading man in that. And he's like, nah, we're doing Human Genome Project. It's all cool. You have to talk to animals sometimes, but whatever. And then Barbara's like, yeah, by the way, I heard you cloned a bunch of dinosaurs back for the military. And I'm like, how'd you find that in an internet search? I'm pretty sure the military classified all this stuff. And casual internet searches are not going to reveal classified military documents. Well, maybe nowadays they could, but not back in 2001 when this film was made. So, okay. I guess that's a thing. So he's like, oh, well, guess what? Now I gotta kill you. So he pulls out a gun, and the sheriff for some reason doesn't have a gun. And all the flunkies of the Dr. Hyde have guns. And they put him in, like, a room. There's a chain link fence. I don't know why there's a chain link fence inside of a facility, but they lock him in there. And they can't escape for some reason. And then the power goes out. And the military comes in. Because at this point, the general's like, okay, well, clearly they're making dinosaurs, and we can't... There can be no evidence of our connection to this. So... fucking kill them all. Just military strike on our own people. Just take them out. Okay, cool. Fair enough. Black Ops mission. Take out all the dinosaurs, take out the facility, take out Dr. Hyde. Military shows up. They start fucking up shit. Power goes out. Dinosaurs get out. People start dying. And this is where the yakety sax should start playing. Because I'm not going to review every little bit that happens, because all it is a bunch of guys with guns shooting at a bunch of things off screen, which happen to be cut together images of raptors and whatnot. People die in incredibly predictable ways according to what they are wearing. And the crowning moment of glory in all of this is walking through this desert facility in, I believe, Texas, maybe somewhere else. I don't remember exactly where it's supposed to be, but it's in the American Southwest. I'm assuming Texas, maybe Arizona. This desert facility, there's no water around it. There are many outside shots. And inside of it are, in fact, many things on the wall that you might find weird, like when they walk through a bulkhead of a ship, pass a life preserver, just hanging on the wall, and keep going. And you look at that and go, what the fuck just happened? And the answer to that question is, so in Carnosaur 3, they were on a ship. And to cut together a bunch of that footage, they were on a ship. But we can't use the footage that isn't blatantly wrong. No, that would be a good idea. No, we're going to just fucking, there's a life preserver on the wall in this desert facility. Bulkheads of ships. So, again, time and space is broken and warped beyond all reckoning. Dinosaurs are running amok. And exactly what you think happens. The military fight off the dinosaurs. They plant a bunch of explosives. They blow up the facility. Well, not quite. So a bunch of people escape. Dr. Hyde's wearing an evacuation outfit. Tyrannosaurus busts out. Tyrannosaurus kills Dr. Hyde, because irony. Okay, fair enough. His limbs all fall off like he's a little toy. Alright, what next? What could possibly happen? How can you stop a Tyrannosaurus? I don't even know. Oh, wait. Eric Roberts gets into a bobcat, but this isn't any bobcat. This is Tommy the Magic Bobcat. Tommy the Magic Bobcat has very strange special abilities because he can transform into a forklift on a whim. Almost as if this footage was cut together from Carnosaur 1 and 2, the fight with the Tyrannosaurus. Okay, so magical forklift powers power up the Bobcat. The Tyrannosaurus is defeated. The facility explodes. In the middle of the country, the U.S. military launched a black op, take out this guy, and they planted explosives in this building that is more or less in the middle of a town and blew it up. I can think of no negative ramifications of that. Movie ends. That is Raptor. And oh my god, this is a movie I recommend watching with a group. Specifically if one or multiple people in this group have seen the previous Carnosaur movies. It's not nearly as funny if you haven't, but if you have, dear God, this is tear-jerkingly hilarious. The editing is the worst I have seen in a long time. It's literally, and if you're a Roger Corman fan, you'll notice a lot of other like stock footage used from different Roger Corman films that he likes to use, like the car falling off a bridge from Humanoids from the Deep. That guy's reusing a bunch of things as a note, not just here, but all over the place. Whenever they need a car to fall off a bridge and explode, same thing. So this is an entertaining entry. It's not the premise is simple, but the execution is so batshit crazy that you're like, okay. I mean, and it wouldn't be crazy if this was actually all filmed original footage. But the fact that literally all the dinosaurs are basically cut together in like parts from other movies means that this is like the cheapest Carnosaur movie I've ever seen. And it's unofficially called Carnosaur 4. So that's a thing, and it's pretty bad, all things said and done. You can tell, without even seeing the previous movies, you can tell that stuff is just chopped together, because it doesn't make that much sense. It doesn't need to. This is Raptor. This is the bottom of, more close to the bottom of the bucket in terms of movies we're going to see here. There are worse movies. Oh, don't get me wrong. There are worse movies than this. But I am not going to watch them because they are worse. So just bear that in mind. I've seen some really bad ones out there, but we're not going to talk about those because they're so bad. They're so bad it's good, and then they're so bad it's bad. And so bad it's bad, it's just like, there's not even any reason to watch this. It's just terrible. It's not even funny bad. It's usually boring, arduous to watch. Nothing happens. So yeah, that's Raptor. So to all those who requested it, I know there's few and far between of you, but I did get a couple on this one. So there you go. Have fun with that. All right, folks. Good night.